What's up YouTube, it's Heretic here, and I'm back with another couple of deck profiles for you guys, one today, one tomorrow. So we're looking at Steam Siege and the new rotation since Karen is not going to be in Steam Siege, so RIP Worlds format 2016. So basically just play Night March or counter Night March or whatever at Worlds, yeah. In any case, we're going to look at Volcanion today, and Volcanion-EX, so actually both of them. So let's go ahead and get into it. Primal Clash-on. So we're going to start with 4 Volcanions. So what this guy does, I'm just going to put 3 of them up here, and okay. So for 1 fire, he lets you choose 2 of your bench Pokemon, and then you choose a fire energy in your discard pile for each one of them, and you can accelerate that energy to that Pokemon. So it's a lot like Geomancy Xerneas, only from the discard. He also does 20 damage in the process, which is pretty darn cool. If you ask me, the attack is actually better than Geomancy, and it also does damage, like on top of that. So that's pretty darn cool right there. I mean, that's a real nice support Pokemon early on, or to help accelerate later. It also has a 3 fire for a vanilla 100 attack, which isn't great, but it's passable. No drawbacks to it, so that's decent. 130 HP is pretty solid. So we're going to use this guy to really kind of set our board up. And then we have 3 copies of Volcanion-EX to go with it. This is our big beefy attacker. No Entei, no Flareon, no Charizard, no Emboar, none of that. Reason being, we don't need it. I've learned that in my testing. So Volcanion-EX, for those of you guys who don't know, lets you, once per turn, his ability Steam Up, lets you discard a fire energy from your hand, and then for the rest of the turn after you do that, your basic fire Pokemon do 30 more damage with their attacks. And then he has a 2 fire, 1 colorless attack that deals 130 and prevents him from attacking next turn, which isn't the worst thing in the world, and it's still going to be pretty darn useful. So the idea here is we can pull a couple of fire energies out, whatever, discard them with Steam Up, get 60 extra damage, and then just do what would originally be 20 now becomes 80 damage with the baby Volcanion, and then accelerate a fire to each of these guys. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. So we got 4 Volcanions there, 3 Volcanion-EX, and then we got 3 Shaymin-EX to round out the Pokemon. Draw power is good. You guys know that. We got 4 Professor Sycamores, more draw power, and 3 Ends for even more. Reason for going up to 3 Shaymins and 3 Ends in here, in addition to our 4 Sycamores, is because Battle Compressor rotating out. So we still have VS Seeker to get our supporters back, but we can't simply compress them on turn 1, go compressor for the supporter, I want VS Seeker, you know, like searchability wise like that. We don't have that anymore, so let's take advantage of having that extra copy of N, which is pretty useful. Got 2 Lysanders then, pick and choose knockouts because that's always good. We got a Hex Maniac. You want to be really careful with Hex, because if you use Volcanion's ability to buff your damage and then you Hex, the ability effect does go away, as far as what I've heard, which would mean that you basically just burn fire energy for no reason unless you're desperately trying to discard it for to get an acceleration here. So you got to be a little careful with Hex Maniac. But late game, or when you're swinging with, you know, something where you don't need to buff your damage because you already have a knockout or whatever, or you play the long game, you can definitely try to hex your opponent out of certain things, which can be pretty effective. So that's why I still run it, because I tried cutting it, and I think I like it too much in the list despite its shortcomings. 1 Pokemon Ranger. This is largely a Jolteon counter. It can work against Regice if you can manage to keep things even in that matchup, but it's largely for Jolteon. I also think Regice will see a lot less play post-rotation due to Seismitoad's rotation, so I think the Water Box deck kind of falls apart a little bit without Toad, unless they give it a new attacker, but I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Like, you could still try to make it work, but I personally don't think it's all that big. And then 1 Fisherman, so we just pull our energies back and discard them again, do more damage, or draw more cards, because we have 3 Scorched Earths. So again, just more draw power. Just kind of, you're not going to be able to use every form of it every turn, or every form of, or have enough energy to use, you know, Steam Up, Scorched Earth, and whatever every turn plus attachment and all that. So definitely Fisherman will help us out there, or just kind of choose the ones you want to use, like early game draw power and get a couple energies down, and then later buff up your damage and take OHKOs. 4 VS Seekers, standard supporter retrieval. Speaking of things that pull energy, we've also got 4 Max Elixirs. You could try to play Trainer's Veils instead of these. I really like the Max Elixirs personally because you can get an early, like turn 1 or turn 2 Volcanion-EX attack with it pretty easily. So that's really, really cool, I've found. Otherwise, you could, like Trainer's Mail in here is good too. Can help you reach for supporters since, we don't have compressor, or for something else you might need. Could really try to play both versions and just see which one you like better. I like being more aggressive, so that's why I'm playing the Elixirs right now. We got 4 Ultra Balls, just to search our Pokemon out. We got 2 Energy Retrievals, kind of pretty much same deal there as Fisherman, except they're not a supporter. So, got a couple of those, kind of work with. We got 2 Escape Ropes and a Switch. Volcanion-EX has 3 retreat, regular Volcanion has 2. Even the 1 retreat on Shaman could be annoying sometimes if it gets Lysandered up or forced up by your opponent's escape rope. So just kind of finding a way to make the deck more mobile despite its high retreat costs, since not everything can have a float stone. So I find that it's just kind of nice to have since AZ and Cassius are rotating out. Then we play 1 Super Rod. If we lose a Volcanion-EX early, send it back to the deck. Or, if you got like way too many energies in the discard pile, you could definitely send some back. Could also help buff Max Elixir's odds. 3 Fighting Fury Belts. If you're trying to lay in big attacks with something, give it the Fighting Fury Belt. If you're not, we're probably putting a Float Stone on there. We got 3 of those too. 6 switching cards. Lots and lots of ways to switch out because this deck needs it. Again, not very mobile in terms of retreat costs. And we got 5, 7, 9, 11 Fire Energy to round things out. This is enough to make Max Elixirs work and also give you enough energy to attack, to get in the discard, to accelerate. If you wanted to switch this to a Worlds format, you could probably cut a Fire Energy, the 3rd N, and you could try to swap out the Elixirs, or you could try to cut, like maybe the Super Rod or something. Try to get a couple Battle Compressors in here, as well as maybe an AZ and a Startling Megaphone, I definitely think, or a Zero Sick, one or the other. As this stands right now, your best bet is going to be to Lysander Garbodor if you see it. Fortunately, Baby Volcanion hits 100 with his 2nd attack, so it and Volcanion-EX both hit enough damage to OHKO Garbodor, which is good to know. So that's what we're looking at the moment in terms of Volcanion. I hope you guys like it. It's been a pretty successful deck in my Primal Clash-on playtesting. You could try to tech in Weakness Policy if you're really worried about water decks. I feel like that could be pretty solid there, but of course it's not going to be perfect. Water's always going to be a rough matchup, I think. You could try to use Yanmega, I guess, but I think then we're starting to get a little clunky. So right now this is really the way I like it right now. Can give a lot of things, almost anything, a run for its money. It's pretty solid, well-rounded as far as what it can do, but it's also very straightforward at the same time. Like you can attack with a 1 Prizer or a 2 Prizer, so with more HP. You can accelerate, do less damage, set up, but it's very linear in terms of setup, attack. So I like to think that it's more versatile than it looks, but definitely very straightforward strategy. So that's Volcanion, and I'll be back tomorrow with another deck. Cheers.